family. That's just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show. Well, I love my show because I'm always learning fascinating things from fascinating people. And today we're going to be talking about structured settlements. And I have to confess, after 25 years of doing TV news, I honestly did not know what structured settlements is, but it's important. It's important for you to know this. So joining me now in studio, Erin Jesberger. She is a structured settlement consultant. And joining us from the Denver area is Brad Cantwell. He is the CEO of Arcadia. Thank you so much for being on the show. So
thanks, Jeff.
We're gonna start with Erin since you're in studio. What is a structured settlement?
A structured settlement is a guaranteed stream of income tax-free. It's primarily used with tort law, and we utilize it with people that have had bodily injuries or wrongful death cases. So instead of getting one lump sum settlement that you may buy a boat and a car and it dissipates quickly, we can go ahead and look at your current and future needs and structure that out for you based on your tailored needs. So we will go ahead and look at your living expenses, your medical expenses, your education needs, and then we'll go ahead and determine if you need monthly, yearly, future lump sums, and we can tailor that out for you.
I think that's wonderful, and you're helping families. Let's bring Brad into this. Brad, first I need to know the name of the company and how you came up with it.
Great. We're called Arcadia Settlements Group. We've been around for nearly 50 years, but the new name is only a couple years old. We went through a series of additions, consolidations of different companies to make up what is now Arcadia Settlements Group. And when we rebranded it, we wanted to choose a name that signified the state of people after they've come into contact with us. And so Arcadia is a Greek word. It basically means a place of solace, of rest. It's a Edenic place. And so Arcadia is a state of mind we hope that everybody who's involved in a dispute will find themselves by the time the process is done.
Well, staying with you, Brad, you have consultants all over the country, and we just came off of the anniversary of September 11th. What does September 11th mean to you and the families that you help?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. September 11th was obviously one of the nation's great tragedies. We are, as you said, not only just celebrated an anniversary, but it's hard to believe it will be 20 years next year. There were more than 2,000 people died that day. And a lot of those people left families. They left spouses, they left children. We were involved in a number of settlements involving those families. And one of the sad things to note is that people who suffered that great loss, many of them were fortunate enough to recover a significant sum of money. But if they weren't protected in some way, a lot of them have spent the last 20 years being victimized again. The money has been dissipated, sometimes by well-meaning advisors, friends, relatives, sometimes by those who don't have good intentions. The thing that makes me feel very gratified is that when we were able to take people from that terrible situation and provide a long-term plan that took care of their needs, we know that today they're still taken care of. Now, I think of a specific case that I was involved in that involved a surviving spouse. It was a widow and two young children. Since her eldest had been born, she hadn't been working outside the home. So suddenly her husband was gone. She had two young children, and she faced a huge number of challenges. What am I going to do? I have no income. Eventually, the case settled, and we were able to put together a plan that gave her tax-free income to replace what had been lost what had been lost financially by the death of her husband for as long as she lived. Her intention was not to just live on those proceeds, to go back to school and eventually start her own business. That fund of money allowed her to do it. It comes monthly, as most of her payments or bills come due. We also were able to provide education funds for her children that started at the time after they graduate from high school, continue on for 5 years, because it takes on average a little more than 4 years for most kids to graduate, and then continued with a small supplemental income up until they were age 30. To know that even though the breadwinner had died in that terrible attack, they had something that was going to carry them on long into the future.
Yes. Well, Erin, let's bring you back in. What's been the most rewarding thing for you since you've been working in this business?
Well, I have a heart to help, especially the injured. I do foster care advocacy in my personal life, so it just is a really natural fit for me to see someone that's had a really traumatic experience and to provide them financial security going forward. It's really a win-win for both the plaintiff and the defense, because we're providing financial security for a family or the injured party, but then also our defense clients are able to settle these cases because the plaintiff feels confident in their financial stability moving forward.
We found a wonderful video that we want to share with you now. Very nice. Brad, the company has grown tremendously over the years. Can you give us a little outline of the history?
Sure. The history of our company is really the history of the industry, since we were the first professional structured settlements firm. We started in the 1970s, in the early 1970s, when, frankly, some very smart lawyers, judges, insurance professionals recognized that there were people who had suffered serious catastrophic injuries that were going to last them a lifetime. They would lose a lifetime of potential income earning. They would have lifetime of medical bills, and that handing them a sum of cash and hoping that it would last was not an ideal solution. And particularly with regards to children, the thalidomide cases, which are in most people's rear view window, although they did make a mention in a Billy Joel song, were one of the earliest big uses of structured settlements. You had children who were born with birth defects related to a drug their mothers took during pregnancy. And again, you recognize that these are children who may live beyond their parents' ability to care for them, and handing their parents a large sum of money and hoping it would last was not ideal. So the idea that they could provide future periodic payments instead of a single lump sum payment was born. In the late 70s, the idea made so much sense that the IRS ruled that those payments should come tax-free to encourage the process that benefits both sides. And in the early 1980s, the tax code was formally changed to include structured settlements as a tax-free payments. Now, over that time, we expanded from going from medical malpractice type cases to products liability, other kinds of accidents, and eventually including workers' compensation, which is now a big part of what we face, and other sorts of non-injury cases where you have non-physical torts. And over the years, we've grown to have offices all around the country. We actually have a subsidiary in Canada, and we have an operation in Puerto Rico. And like you, we're very happy that we've grown as you have. And now I'm a very hands-on type of guy. And that last video you showed, I'm kind of happy to say I hadn't seen it. That means there are people doing good things for us and I don't have to be involved in every one of them. We've got a tremendous group of professionals all over the country who are really passionate about what they do every day.
Absolutely. Erin, when do you guys typically get involved? Is it early in the case, or is it after a settlement has already been reached?
So structured settlements are only available at the time of settlement.
Okay.
That's what makes them tax-free. And so the earlier we get involved, either by an insurance adjuster, a defense attorney, or a plaintiff attorney, the better. We can look at rated ages, we can look at life care plans, we can attend on-site mediation after our travel restriction for COVID is over.
Sure.
But anything remote, we're happy to attend hearings and provide on-site quoting, or quoting is what we do every day. We shop the different life companies and find the best rates to maximize the settlement.
Outstanding. Brad, we're almost out of time, so we'll give you the final word. I asked that question of Erin earlier in the interview. What's the most rewarding thing for you?
Well, the rewarding thing for me is that I get up in the morning every day and know that our company, I personally, and our industry does something to help people. People who are the most vulnerable. It truly is gratifying. I can't tell you the number of times that when I was doing what Erin is doing today, handling individual cases, where at the end of the case, everybody was happy. That doesn't always happen in lawsuits, but it's really gratifying to know that we're doing something that benefits society and our most vulnerable.
Outstanding. Well, thank you both for your service and what you're doing for the planet. We're going to go ahead and leave with the website. It's teamarcadia.com. Once again, Brad and Erin, thank you for being amazing guests on the show.
Thank you for having us.
You bet.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.